Let's get into it. Not all confidence comes from a good place. There's a kind of certainty that feels strong on the surface, but underneath it's driven by something else, by comparison, by competition, the need to be right, the need to be seen, and sometimes it can look a lot like wisdom, the wisdom of the world, or wisdom to the world. But James wants to help us tell the difference. And so we've got James chapter 3, verse 14 to 16. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and be false to the truth. This is not the wisdom that comes down from above, but it's earthly, unspiritual, demonic. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. James, he sort of names two things directly here. He says bitterness, jealousy, and selfish ambition. Um, they're not loud, obvious sins. Most of the time, they're kind of quieter. They're like subtle comparisons, internal scorekeeping, wanting recognition, wanting influence. And James says when they're present, they don't always stay contained. He warns not to boast and be false to the truth. In other words, don't dress those motivations up as something spiritual. Don't call it wisdom when it's really self-interest. Then James says something important. He says, this isn't the wisdom that comes from above, from God, which means not everything that sounds insightful or feels convincing to us is actually shaped by God. And he describes this kind of wisdom three ways. He says, first, it's earthly, it's unspiritual, and this is demonic. It's pretty strong. It's meant to wake us up to what's underneath. Because when wisdom is disconnected from God, it bends inwards. And then James shows us the outcome. Where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder. And every vile practice, not always immediately, it's not always obvious, but over time, that's where it will lead. Because that's where it starts. In the heart, it starts in the heart and will eventually shape the environment around us. And we see this pattern throughout Scripture. Saul's jealousy towards David, it starts inwardly, but eventually it fractures the entire kingdom. What begins as comparison um, becomes outward instability, and the drama in the world around. James is helping us to try and recognize this early before it spreads, before it defines us, before it reshapes how we relate to others or others to us. And so, where do you see traces of this in your own life? Maybe not in extreme ways, but just in subtle ones, where comparison creeps in, where maybe recognition matters more than it should, where your motivation is just a little off. And what might it look like to bring that honestly before God? Not to justify it, not to ignore it, but to name it, to be honest about it, because wisdom that comes from God doesn't need to compete. It doesn't need to prove itself. Wherever you find yourself, God goes with you today.